Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for this presentation. My name is Christina Carde, Digital Marketing Master Student with Full Sail University, and today we will be discussing click fraud. For those who are not aware of what click fraud is, this presentation will discuss not only the definition of click fraud and why it is so harmful to a company's advertising initiative, but also what can be done to protect your company from it. So, why is learning about click fraud important for your business? When it comes to I Love Kickboxing in particular, if you Google the keywords kickboxing gym, the ad for I Love Kickboxing is the first ad that comes up in the Google search. So, that means the company spends a lot of money for pay per click advertising to generate traffic to the website and in turn generate revenue. So basically, every time someone clicks on your Google ad, you run the risk of that click being from a fraudulent entity or at minimum not being a genuine inquiry. Statistically speaking, every 1 in 5 clicks, and possibly even more than that, are fraudulent and in time can really cause an advertising budget to balloon out of control and cost the company a lot of money. So it's really important to pay attention to the information offered in this presentation to minimize this type of fraud. So some of you must be saying, okay, she keeps referring to this horrible thing called click fraud. What in the world is it, right? Well, click fraud is essentially the practice of clicking on a company's pay per click ad for the purpose of either doing the company financial harm or to fraudulently siphon funds from a company. Now, there are various types of click fraud, which we will review next, but it's important to remember that regardless of where the click fraud is coming from, what makes the click frauds fraudulent are the two reasons that are stated here. Either someone is intentionally trying to harm the company for some reason, or they are trying to just outright steal money from the company. So, when looking at the culprits involved in this type of fraud, you're typically looking at 4 different sources: the competitor, the webmaster, the customer, and the fraud ring. So, the number one perpetrator for any business when it comes to click fraud is the competition. Obviously, other martial arts gyms or kickboxing gyms want customers to do business with them and not you. And the one way to accomplish this is to throw off your marketing initiative. So let's say you have 1,000 clicks on your ad in one day, however, only 5 people actually sign up or do any actual business on your website. Well, this would cause most marketers to say, our profit margin on Facebook or Yahoo or whatever site the ad was on just isn't worth the money we're paying for the ad, so we might as well just pull it. But if you don't dig deeper into what's going on, you may not realize that half of those clicks may have been from a competitor up the street who's doing this on purpose to try to get you to scrap your ad. So it is something that you do need to pay attention to. Secondly, we have webmasters. Now, the job of a webmaster is simple. It's to get as many people as possible to click on their website's ad. So that job description in itself is harmless and totally ethical. However, in order for a webmaster to make any money, they need to generate profits from every click. Now, the way that they do this is by using Google's network display option on their websites, and this ensures that they receive 68% of the amount paid to Google to run the ad. So the only ad they want customers clicking on is theirs. Now, one way they ensure their ads are getting as much attention as possible is they go in and sabotage other companies' ads. So basically, they can just Google your ad and click on it ad nauseum until they've exhausted your pay-per-click advertising budget for the day, and Google eventually stops showing your ad. So then they don't have to worry about it anymore, and they can focus on getting traffic to their sites. So this in time can really tax an advertising budget, and it needs to be addressed up front. The third source here is disgruntled customers. Now, this isn't a huge concern. It's very minuscule as in regards to the click fraud campaign as a whole. However, it is something that does happen. That's why it's listed here. So basically, a customer who knows anything about how SEO works or how keywords work, they can click on your ad repeatedly to try and cost you more money because they're upset with the company in some way or they're upset about an interaction they had. So they can repeatedly click on it just to try and drain your advertising budget, essentially. In some cases, it could be completely innocent. Maybe someone just clicks on the ad by mistake without meaning to, but either way, it does generate false traffic to your site. So that's why it's kind of falls into this category. It can skew marketing initiatives if it's prevalent enough. So not particularly a big threat financially, but it can affect things if it's not paid attention to. So just something to watch out for. Now, the fourth and probably biggest source of click fraud that is really important to look at is fraud rings. And these are really serious because they're stealing real money from the company. They're basically cyber gangs, so to speak, that could be domestic or international, and they siphon money from companies and advertising budgets. The way they do this is they pose as actual companies with websites and offer to feature your ad on their sites. However, the IP addresses are false, and the ring members are just stealing thousands of dollars by charging for clicks that never generate any actual traffic or revenue for the parent company. So you have to be very careful with this because depending on what your pay-per-click budget is, they can siphon hundreds of thousands of dollars before a company realizes what's going on. This, of course, is very illegal, but it's also very hard to prove. So, in addition to losing thousands in advertising, the company may lose thousands more in legal fees trying to go after these rings, and it's just not a good situation all around. So, the best practice is to be prepared and to protect yourself from it ever happening in the first place. So what's the bottom line here for the brand, and what's the best move for the company? Like I said before, I Love Kickboxing is the number one ad on Google for kickboxing gyms. So that means the company beat out the competition for that number one spot on Google, and they have a considerable amount of their advertising budget devoted to keyword searches. So you want to protect that budget. And there are definitely ways to do that, which will cost a lot less than losing thousands in advertising to click fraud. The main way to do this is to implement some sort of click fraud software. Um, so basically, click fraud software enables detection and blocking features to not only monitor and report click fraud, but also block confirmed click fraud perpetrators. So the software can be used across a variety of platforms to include web browsers, email servers, and multiple IP addresses. Some of the top softwares include ClickCease, ClickGuard, and PPC Protect. However, there are various others that through Google search you can find and review them to see which ones are most recommended. But the top ones have been reviewed and verified by customers. So depending on the level of protection desired, the cost can range anywhere from $50 to over $100 a month. And that really is just based on the scope of the protection that the company needs. However, in any case, regardless, it's much more cost effective to do it this route than to be reactive and incur the expensive result of click fraud. So although software protection is the best way to go, there are cheaper or even free options for those companies who don't have protection software in their budget. A good example of this is Google AdWords. Google has its own ad quality center that tracks click fraud and reimburses its pay-per-click clients for any confirmed incidents. The issue, however, is AdWords doesn't catch all fraudulent clicks. So it falls back to the advertiser in this case to track the click fraud, which can be quite tedious and challenging for those who are not well versed in cybersecurity. It is possible, however, to detect click fraud through this method. However, the company has to be willing to dedicate the time and the research to it. So ultimately, a company can avoid the stress and cost of click fraud by being prepared, being protected, and being aware. Understanding click fraud and how it threatens your company, how to prevent it, and how to remedy a click fraud crisis should it occur will eventually help your company avoid the consequences of this malicious practice and ensure that your pay-per-click campaigns are safe and profitable. Thank you for listening to this presentation, and I hope that you enjoyed the information and are able to put it to good use.